When a man is secretly obsessed with you, the first thing you'll notice isn't necessarily what he says, it's how he focuses. His attention begins to narrow, almost unconsciously, and suddenly the rest of the world starts to fade into the background when you're around. It's not about being clingy or overly intense, it's something subtler, more human. His mind starts to orient itself toward you because emotionally you've become the point of gravity in his world. When someone truly captivates us, we don't just see them, we study them. A man in this state pays attention to details that others might overlook. He remembers the way you take your coffee, the story you told about your childhood, the tone you use when you're excited or anxious. He doesn't do this because he's trying to impress you. He does it because his curiosity about you isn't performative, it's genuine. You've taken up residence in his mind, and everything about you becomes a new piece of data he wants to understand. This kind of focus reveals something about human psychology. We give our attention to what feels significant. When you notice that a man's energy becomes anchored in your presence, it's because his emotions have started to attach meaning to you. You're not just someone he finds attractive, you've become someone who matters. And when that happens, you'll feel it. The air changes slightly when you walk into the room. His body language shifts. His posture straightens. His eyes track you even in a crowd. It's as if you pull his awareness toward you without trying. The interesting thing about attention is that it always precedes emotion. Before someone falls in love, before they even realize they're falling, their attention betrays them. A man's focus tells the truth long before his words do. Because attraction might begin as chemistry, but obsession is built on repetition, repeated thought, repeated interest, repeated curiosity. The more he thinks about you, the more his brain wires itself around that thought. But here's what's most important to understand. Attention is the currency of value. When someone gives you their attention, they're saying, you matter enough for me to pause my world for you. And when that attention becomes consistent, it signals a depth of emotional interest that can't be faked. A man who's secretly obsessed with you won't just look at you. He'll see you the small changes in your tone, your energy, your mood. He'll be attuned, not because he's trying to win you over, but because he can't not be. That's the paradox of real attraction. It's not controlled. It's gravitational. It's not something he switches on or off. When you've left a mark on his emotional landscape, his focus becomes your mirror. You'll see yourself reflected in the way he listens, in the way his energy shifts when you're near, in the quiet pauses where his eyes linger just a moment too long. So, if you ever find yourself wondering whether he's secretly obsessed with you, don't look for the loud signals. Look for the focus, look for the stillness, look for the way his world seems to slow down just enough to make room for you in it. Because when a man's attention keeps coming back to you, even when it doesn't have to, that's not coincidence. That's connection, and that's the first sign that you've stopped being just another person in his day. You've become the thought he keeps returning to, again and again, without even realizing it. One of the most overlooked signs that a man is secretly obsessed with you is how he starts to open up emotionally, but carefully, selectively, almost as if testing the air before diving in. You see, when a man feels something deep, he doesn't immediately expose it. He gauges whether it's safe, whether you'll understand him, whether his vulnerability will be respected rather than judged. It's not about fear of rejection in the superficial sense. It's about protecting something fragile, his emotional truth. When a man begins to like someone more than he expected, there's often a quiet internal battle. On one hand, he wants to impress you. On the other, he wants to be seen for who he really is. That's why he'll start sharing small, almost insignificant details at first, stories about his day, a childhood memory, a challenge he's facing. It may seem casual, but psychologically, these are asterisk emotional probes asterisk. He's not just talking, he's watching. Watching how you listen, how you respond, whether you make him feel understood or exposed. And here's where it gets interesting. Men often use humor, teasing, or light self-deprecation as a way to test emotional permission. It's their way of saying, "Can I show you who I am beneath the surface?" If you meet that vulnerability with empathy, without trying to fix or analyze him, he begins to associate asterisk safety asterisk with asterisk you asterisk, and that's when obsession deepens. Because a man isn't just drawn to beauty or charm, he's drawn to the person who makes his emotional world feel like home. It's important to remember that emotional openness for a man isn't automatic. It's earned. We live in a world where men are often taught to suppress emotion, to maintain composure, to be logical. But when he begins to emotionally invest in you, that's his way of rebelling against that conditioning. He's saying, "You matter enough for me to risk being real." And when that happens, it's one of the most profound forms of attraction there is, because he's not just showing you his affection, he's revealing his asterisk trust. Asterisk, you might notice him confiding things he doesn't share with anyone else. It could be about his ambitions, his insecurities, or even something that hurt him in the past. In those moments, he's not seeking advice, he's seeking connection. He's watching if you'll hold his truth gently or use it carelessly. And when you meet that moment with understanding, it shifts something in him. His emotional guard lowers, and suddenly, he's not just interested in you, he's asterisk emotionally invested. Asterisk, there's a deep psychology behind this. The more a man shares and feels safe doing so, the more emotionally attached he becomes. Vulnerability creates emotional dependency, not in a negative way, but in the sense that he begins to associate relief, comfort, and validation with asterisk you. Asterisk, you become not just someone he desires, but someone he asterisk trusts to see him. Asterisk, and that's the quiet power of emotional permission. It doesn't look like seduction, but it's more magnetic than anything else. Because when a man feels he can be completely himself with you, he doesn't just think about you, he asterisk needs asterisk too. You've become the one place his soul can exhale. So if you want to know when he's secretly obsessed, don't just listen to what he says. When he's confident, pay attention to what he says when he's uncertain. Because that's where the truth lies. When he starts to show you his unfiltered thoughts, his unpolished emotions, that's not just interest anymore, that's emotional surrender. And once a man reaches that point, he's not just drawn to you, he's anchored to you. Because in a world where everyone wears armor, you've become the one person who makes him feel safe enough to put his down. One of the strongest yet most misunderstood signs that a man is secretly obsessed with you is how asterisk his attention shifts asterisk. When a man can't stop thinking about you, you start to take up mental real estate he didn't plan to give away. He becomes more aware of your presence where you are in a room, how you speak, the tone of your voice, even the smallest shifts in your mood. It's not just interest, it's asterisk attunement asterisk. He begins to notice details that others would overlook, because subconsciously his mind is scanning for ways to feel closer to you, to understand you, to stay connected. But here's the thing, he won't always express this directly. A man in this space often doesn't fully understand what's happening to him. He just finds himself checking his phone more often, replaying certain conversations, wondering how you're feeling or if you've thought about him too. He'll notice things like a change in your tone or the way you said "I'm fine." And his instinct will tell him it's not fine. Why? Because when a man is emotionally invested, his intuition sharpens around the person he cares about. He's not just listening to your words anymore, he's reading you. Now, this kind of attention can show up in different ways. Some men channel it into action. They'll find reasons to be near you, to help, to support, to engage. Others, especially those who are more guarded, will do the opposite. They'll withdraw slightly, not because they're disinterested, but because they're overwhelmed. It's almost like their emotions have gotten ahead of their logic, and they're trying to catch up. They pull back to regain a sense of control. Ironically, that retreat can be one of the clearest signs that he's thinking about you constantly because distance in this case isn't rejection, it's regulation. There's a psychological principle at play here called selective focus. When we deeply desire or fear losing something, our brain prioritizes it. It becomes the lens through which we process reality. So when a man is obsessed, he's filtering his experiences through you, your approval, your energy, your presence. That's why he'll sometimes act irrationally, seeming confident one moment, distant the next. He's internally wrestling with the gravity of what he feels, trying to understand whether it's safe to let those emotions lead, and that's what makes this stage so revealing. A man's mind betrays his heart long before his words ever do. You'll see it in the pauses, in the thoughtful silences, in the small, almost imperceptible ways he tries to maintain connection, a text at a random time, a comment about something you mentioned weeks ago, a glance that lingers just a second too long. These aren't coincidences. They're signals from a man whose thoughts have become tethered to you. When he can't stop thinking about you, his world subtly reorganizes itself around that attachment. His energy shifts, his priorities adjust, and his sense of balance starts to depend on how connected he feels to you. It's not obsession in a toxic sense, it's emotional magnetism. You've become a mental and emotional focal point, not because you demanded it, but because something about you awakens his deeper instincts, the need to protect, to pursue, to connect. And that's the beauty of genuine attraction. It doesn't scream, it pulls. When you notice his quiet awareness, his thoughtful observation, his small, consistent attempts to understand you, recognize it for what it is, his mind revealing the depth of his heart. Because in the end, obsession isn't measured by how loudly someone declares their feelings, it's measured by how quietly they change because of them. Another subtle but powerful sign that a man is secretly obsessed with you is how he mirrors your emotional rhythm. Most people think attraction is only about grand gestures or physical chemistry, but the deeper form of attraction, the kind that keeps someone thinking about you long after you're gone, lives in emotional synchrony. When a man is truly captivated by you, his emotions start to align with yours, even when he doesn't consciously intend them to. You'll notice it in small, almost imperceptible ways. When you're upbeat, his energy lifts. When you're quieter, he matches that stillness. He begins to adapt to your emotional state, not because he's trying to manipulate you, but because he's subconsciously seeking connection. It's his psyche saying, I want to understand you. I want to be in tune with you. This mirroring is one of the clearest reflections of emotional attachment, because it reveals that your feelings are influencing his without words ever being exchanged. It's deeply psychological. Our brains are wired with what scientists call mirror neurons, cells that activate when we observe someone's behavior or emotional state. In romantic attraction, those neurons fire more intensely, creating empathy and a sense of shared emotion. That's why when you laugh, he smiles. When you look worried, he instinctively leans in. His internal world starts responding to yours, almost like emotional gravity. You don't have to pull, he's drawn in. But there's a deeper layer to this. When a man starts feeling emotionally in sync with you, he doesn't just absorb your moods. He starts protecting them. If he senses you're tired, he lowers his tone. If he feels you're anxious, he subtly tries to calm the space around you. This instinct isn't logical, it's emotional guardianship. It's what happens when he's invested enough to care about your inner state, not just your outer presence. It's one thing for someone to notice you. It's another for them to feel you. And sometimes this emotional connection can be overwhelming for him. Men aren't always accustomed to navigating emotional intensity. They might not even realize what's happening, why they suddenly feel unsettled when you're distant or unusually light when you're near. But that's what makes it real. He's responding to you at a level deeper than thought, deeper than desire. It's resonance. You've created an emotional imprint that now echoes in him. This kind of connection changes the dynamic between two people, because when someone begins to mirror you emotionally, it's not just about attraction, it's about identification. He begins to see a part of himself in you, and that's where real intimacy starts to grow, not from similarity, but from reflection. When he feels your emotions as if they're his own, that's when he's no longer just attracted to you, he's emotionally invested in you. So if you notice that his moods subtly shift with yours, that his energy seems to move in tandem with your presence, it's not coincidence. It's a sign of emotional obsession, a psychological alignment that happens when someone's heart and mind have quietly chosen you as their reference point. Because in the end, real connection isn't about someone trying to impress you. It's about someone trying to understand you. And when he begins to feel what you feel, without you ever having to explain it, that's when you know he's not just thinking about you, he's feeling you. And that kind of connection doesn't fade, it deepens. Another unmistakable sign that a man is secretly obsessed with you lies in how much he remembers . Not just the big things, your birthday, your favorite color, or that story you told about your childhood, but the small, fleeting details that most people forget. When a man can recall something you said in passing weeks ago, or when he brings up a tiny detail you didn't even realize you'd shared, it reveals something profound. You occupy space in his mental world even when you're not physically there. See, memory isn't just a storage function. It's emotional evidence. We remember what matters to us. Our brains naturally filter out most information, but when emotion is attached, the memory sticks. So when a man remembers what you said, how you felt, or even what you were wearing when you told a particular story, it's because those moments carried emotional weight for him. You left an imprint. You became part of the internal landscape he revisits in quiet moments. And this goes beyond surface-level attention. This kind of remembrance is a form of emotional investment. It shows that he's engaged with your story, that your experiences have merged with his thought patterns. You might mention your dream of traveling somewhere, and days later, he sends you an article about that place. You might share how you take your coffee, and the next time you meet, he's already ordered it that way. These gestures may seem small, but they're windows into the subconscious mind. They say, "I've been paying attention even when you thought I wasn't." This type of attention comes from genuine fascination, not obligation. You can't force someone to remember details about you. They remember because their emotions have tied themselves to the experience of knowing you. It's not about perfection or trying to impress, it's about significance. You've become significant enough to trigger recollection without effort, and that's how obsession quietly manifests, not through intensity, but through constancy. What's fascinating is that this type of emotional memory also fuels attraction. Because when someone continually recalls you, they relive the emotional state associated with you. They feel again what they felt around you: comfort, excitement, curiosity, connection. Every memory becomes a psychological bridge that pulls them back toward you. It's not the memory itself that keeps them hooked. It's the asterisk emotion asterisk that memory reignites. So when a man remembers your words, your gestures, your tone of voice, it's not just admiration. It's emotional resonance. He's not storing information, he's storing feeling. That's why when you bring up something from the past, he doesn't just recall it, he re-experiences it. You've created a timeline in his mind that loops back to you over and over. And here's the beauty in that. Genuine connection is never about who tries the hardest, but who asterisk feels the deepest asterisk. When someone keeps remembering, it means they're not done processing what they felt. They're revisiting the moment because it matters, because it shaped something within them. So if he brings up tiny details you didn't expect him to remember, if he seems to know your preferences before you voice them, if his words echo your earlier thoughts, it's because you've become a reference point in his emotional world. You've moved from being a person he likes to being a asterisk presence asterisk he carries. And when that happens, you don't just cross his mind, you live there. One of the most revealing signs that a man is secretly obsessed with you is when he subtly starts mirroring your emotional rhythm, not because he's trying to copy you, but because he's emotionally synchronized with you. You'll notice it not in grand gestures, but in the quiet, unconscious ways his mood, tone, or energy begin to reflect yours. If you're calm, he softens. If you're enthusiastic, his eyes light up. If you pull back, he feels unsettled not because of insecurity, but because his emotional compass has started to align with yours. This kind of connection goes beyond physical attraction or surface-level chemistry. It's psychological resonance, the kind that can't be faked, rehearsed, or consciously controlled. What's happening beneath the surface is simple yet powerful. He's emotionally attuning to you. When someone is deeply drawn to another person, their nervous systems begin to mirror each other. They pick up on expressions, body language, and tone without realizing it. It's not manipulation, it's empathy meeting desire. It's the mind's way of saying, I want to feel what you feel, so I can stay close to your world. When a man becomes emotionally synchronized with you, his attention becomes incredibly sharp. He notices shifts in your energy when something's bothering you, even if you haven't said a word. He'll ask if you're okay, or he'll change his behavior to comfort you without being prompted. It's his emotional radar at work, constantly scanning for signs that connect him to your inner world. This is not obsession in the unhealthy sense. It's the psychological signature of emotional investment. His mind doesn't want to miss a single cue from you because your emotions now matter to his own equilibrium, and this connection changes how he interacts. You'll see him adjust his timing, waiting a little longer to reply if he senses you need space, or being more present when you seem distant. He begins to measure his actions not just by his desires, but by how they affect you. That's how emotional attraction matures, when his empathy becomes instinctive, not strategic. What's profound about this is that emotional synchronization isn't loud. It's not in the constant messages or the dramatic declarations. It's in the subtle ways he matches your wavelength. You'll feel it in the moments of silence that feel safe instead of awkward, in the way conversation flows easily without needing to force connection. You'll see it when he laughs at your sense of humor, not out of politeness, but because he genuinely gets it. That's the essence of emotional mirroring, understanding without translation. When someone reaches that level of connection, it's no longer about attraction as an external chase. it becomes about emotional unity. You start to exist as part of his emotional rhythm, and he starts existing in yours. It's an unspoken dance between two energies that have found balance. And here's the truth: when a man is that in tune with you, he doesn't have to say much. His actions, his timing, his sensitivity, they all speak for him. You can feel that he's invested because your presence affects his entire state of being. So if you ever sense that your emotions seem to echo in him, if your laughter changes his energy, or your silence shifts his focus, that's not coincidence. That's connection, that's emotional obsession in its purest, most human form. Because when a man's emotional rhythm begins to mirror yours, it means he's not just thinking about you, he's feeling you . And that's when you know you've moved from his thoughts into his soul.